What if your best decision tool isn't an app or a hack, but a 1,500-year-old board game? Give me 60 seconds and I'll show you the chess habit that lets people decide faster, with fewer regrets. Look at any tough choice you're facing today. In the next minute, we'll cut the noise, keep the signal, and commit with a calm brain. Ready? Here's the idea in one breath. Great chess doesn't search more moves, it ignores more bad ones. Masters don't have superhuman eyes, they have ruthless filters. They scan, prune, evaluate, blunder-check, and commit under a clock. That exact pipeline, scan, prune, evaluate, check, commit, can run inside everyday life. Email triage, job offers, investing, relationships, even what to say next in an argument. Once you learn the rhythm, your choices stop feeling like a maze and start feeling like a melody. Start with the board. In chess, strong players define the problem before moving a single piece. Where is the fight? What does a win look like here? In daily life, we skip that step and drown in options. So define your board in one sentence. In this decision, a win means X without breaking Y. X is the objective. E is the constraint you refuse to violate. Hire a designer in 2 weeks without blowing the budget. Pick a laptop that edits video smoothly without weighing a brick. Say yes to a trip that excites you without sabotaging exams next month. One sentence out loud. The moment you name the board, half the noise dies. Next, candidate moves. Masters almost never calculate every legal move. They generate a handful of candidates that fit the position. You can do the same. Instead of 30 possibilities, name 3. If you struggle to find 3, you don't understand the board yet. Go back a step and clarify the goal or the constraints. 3 candidates beat 30 because attention is a scarce resource. Your brain evaluates with more accuracy when the list is short. Now pruning, the superpower. In chess, pruning means you stop exploring a line the moment it's worse than the best line you already have. In life, pruning means you toss entire categories of options early. If any path fails your non-negotiable, cut it. If a job poisons your health, it's gone. If a partner violates trust, it's gone. If an investment demands a level of attention you won't give, it's gone. Hard pruning is not negative thinking, it's protecting energy for lines that can actually win. With a small set left, you need an evaluation function, how engines score positions and how your brain can score choices. A simple one works shockingly well, 3 weights, 3, 2, 1. Pick 3 factors that matter most in this decision, ranked in order. For a new city, 3 equals safety and commute, 2 equals cost of living, 1 equals social life. For a laptop, 3 E's performance for your main task, 2 E's reliability, 1 E's weight. For a relationship choice, 3 equals values alignment, 2 equals joy in ordinary days, 1 equals growth. Score each candidate quickly against 3, 2, 1, not with spreadsheets, with gut plus facts. The 3 weight factor dominates, the 2 is tiebreaker, the 1 breaks ties of ties. This prevents you from overvaluing shiny details that don't actually decide outcomes. Then comes the most underrated habit in chess, the blunder-check. Before moving, strong players ask a single brutal question. What is my opponent's best reply? Translate it to life. What's the most obvious way this choice could hurt me? And what would the world do back? You're not catastrophizing. You're preventing the one cheap shot that ruins an otherwise good plan. Buying a used car. What's the seller's best reply to your optimism? Hidden repairs and paperwork delays. Startups. What's the market's best slap? A larger rival copies your feature and ships it faster. Romance. What's the schedule's best counter? Misaligned timelines that no amount of chemistry fixes. If your plan survives its best counter, move. Finally, the clock. Chess doesn't give you all day. Time control creates honesty. In life, decisions also have time controls. We just pretend they don't. A day to answer an email. A week to accept an offer. A year to choose a degree. Deadlines feel cruel until you realize they save you from searching forever. So set an explicit clock. 2 minutes for simple choices, 20 for medium ones, 2 days for the big ones where new information actually arrives. Without a clock, you don't decide, you ruminate. Let's run the whole pipeline on something ordinary, say choosing between 2 projects at work. Board. Win equals pick the project that moves my team's metric the most without burning me out. Candidates. A or B. Prune. A fails the non-negotiable. Maybe it demands 70-hour weeks with no support. Cut it. If both survive, evaluate with 3-2-1. 3 equals expected impact, 2 equals learning, 1 equals reputation with stakeholders. Quick scores, no decimals. Blunder-check. What's the boss's best reply to you choosing B? Perhaps they needed A because of a cross-team dependency. If that's real, ask one clarifying question, then commit under the clock. You just made a clean choice in minutes instead of spirals. Why does this work? Because your brain doesn't compute like a perfect engine. It recognizes patterns, chunks. A master sees not 32 pieces, but a handful of familiar shapes. A fianchettoed bishop aiming at the king, a backward pawn begging for pressure, a rook screaming for an open file. Each chunk narrows the move list automatically. In life, you can build chunks deliberately. Keep a small notebook or a note in your phone of positions you've seen before. Overloaded calendar. Too good to be true offer. Shiny tech versus boring reliable tool. Under each, list what won last time and what blunder punished you. Next time that position appears, the chunk fires and you skip weeks of confusion. Chunks also fight biases. Confirmation bias tells you to collect evidence for the move you already want. Chunks force you to ask, have I seen this shape before, and how did it end? The sunk cost fallacy begs you to throw more time after a failing line because you've already invested. Chunks whisper, this is the pattern where you save face by quitting early. Availability bias makes the last dramatic story dominate your judgment. Chunks counter with base rates. 9 of the last 12 partnerships failed due to unclear roles. Fix that first or walk. What about speed? Isn't speed dangerous? Only when you use speed to avoid thinking. Masters move fast in familiar positions because the chunk library handles them. They slow down in unusual positions. You can do the same. If a choice feels familiar and harmless, set a short clock and go. If it feels novel and high impact, extend the time control and buy data. A small experiment, a pilot, a conversation with someone who lived the outcome you fear. Speed is a choice with a reason, not a default. There's a second lesson from the board, quiet moves. In chess, a quiet move is one that doesn't give check or capture a piece, but improves your position, tucks the king, lifts a rook, takes away a key square. In decisions, quiet moves are the tiny preparatory actions that make all future choices easier. Blocking 90 minutes on your calendar every morning to do deep work is a quiet move. Automating bill payments is a quiet move. Writing a one-page brief before any meeting is a quiet move. Quiet moves build momentum without drama. They make your next yes or no obvious. And then there's initiative. On the board, initiative means you make threats that force the other side to respond. In life, initiative means you set the questions being asked. If you always accept the questions other people hand you, your choices will feel reactive and small. When you propose a plan, you choose the battlefield. Your evaluation function, your 3-2-1, becomes the shared scoring system. Initiative doesn't mean dominating people, it means volunteering the frame. Let's aim at money for a second because it's where emotions sabotage logic fastest. People ask, should I buy this? As if every purchase were new. Build a purchasing opening repertoire, like a set of first moves you almost always play. For electronics over a certain price, wait 3 days, read 2 negative reviews, check return policy, then decide. For subscriptions, only 1 new subscription allowed per quarter. Any new one replaces an old one. For investing, automate contributions to a simple portfolio. Take speculative bets with a small, pre-decided carve-out. Opening principles keep you from blundering before you see the middle game. Speaking of openings, middle game and end game, those phases exist in decisions too. Openings are about development. Get your pieces out, claim space, don't chase ghosts. Start projects by clarifying roles, timelines, and the first deliverable. Middle games are about tension and tactics. Your evaluation function matters most. Prune constantly. Watch for tactics like forks and pins in human form. Conflicts of interest, overloaded teammates, dependencies that freeze progress. End games are about technique and patience. When you're winning, simplify. When you're worse, create problems and seek counterplay. If a project is 90% done, stop adding features and ship. If a relationship is failing, stop half measures and have the necessary conversation, or end it cleanly. Technique is boring, which is why it wins. What about regret? Many people fear committing because they fear the future version of themselves judging the choice. Chess gives a good antidote. You don't judge the move by the result. You judge it by the process given the information you had. You can lose with a good move if the opponent finds something brilliant. You can win with a bad move if they blunder. The only way to live sanely is to evaluate yourself on process. Did you define the board? Generate candidates. Prune non-negotiables. Use a 3-2-1 evaluation. Blunder-check? Commit under a clock. If yes, call it a good move. Learn, then move on. Now let's sharpen the pruning habit with a live image. Imagine 3 doors. Behind one is a great outcome. Behind the second is okay. Behind the third is trouble. The mistake most of us make is to stare at the okay door and daydream about how to make it great. That wastes time. Pruning says, close the trouble door instantly, toss it. Then compare great versus okay against your 3-2-1 under a clock. If you can't tell them apart quickly, they're close enough. Flip a coin and promise yourself you won't look back for 30 days. Action beats rumination. A good life is the sum of many close enough wins plus a few big greats. The enemies are the obvious troubles you refuse to prune. Let's talk social pressure. In chess, spectators love sacrifices and attacks. They rarely cheer the invisible move that stops counterplay 3 moves later. In life, other people admire dramatic decisions. Quit your job, move across the world, launch a startup, and they miss the quiet, boring decisions that made those possible. Don't optimize for applause. Optimize for positions that give you more good moves next turn. If a flashy choice reduces your future options to one desperate line, it's not bold, it's bad. The best decisions increase your option value while still moving you forward. Here's a mental tool from tournament halls you can use anywhere. Touch move. In chess, if you touch a piece, you have to move it within the rules. It forces commitment. Create touch move rules for areas where you procrastinate. If you open social media, you must close it within 60 seconds. If you open a new tab to shop, you must add the item to a 72-hour waitlist. No instant buys. If you open your inbox in the morning, you must process 5 messages to 0. Touch move turns intention into action and shrinks the space where indecision breeds. Now the opposite tool, prophylaxis. It sounds medical. In chess, it means preventing your opponent's plan before it starts. In decisions, prophylaxis means eliminating the future temptation that will make a good choice hard to keep. If you're deciding to write daily, put the notebook on your pillow so you can't go to sleep without moving it. If you're deciding to save, automate the transfer before your salary arrives. If you're deciding to leave your phone out of the bedroom, buy a $10 alarm clock. Don't rely on future you to be heroic. Help future you by removing the counterplay. A word on emotion. Chess is not cold, it is emotional. Tilt loses games. So does fear. The way strong players handle emotion is not by banishing it, but by giving it a job. Before a critical decision, name the feeling in one sentence. I'm anxious about disappointing X, or I'm excited about the status this choice gives me. Naming reduces heat. Then check if the feeling maps to your 3-2-1. If not, park it. Feelings that don't touch your evaluation function don't get to vote. They can sit in the audience and cheer after the move. Data versus intuition, the fake war. In chess, intuition proposes, calculation disposes. Your gut surfaces a candidate, your calculation tests it against reality. In life, that means your first impulse isn't sacred or suspect. It's a proposal that earns a quick test. If it passes the blunder check and the 3-2-1, go. If it fails, say thank you to the impulse and choose another. This keeps you fast without being reckless. What about extremely high-stakes decisions, the ones that feel like queen sacrifices? The pipeline still works, but with one upgrade, premortem. A premortem is a blunder check stretched over time. Imagine you made the choice and it failed badly a year from now. Write the story of how it failed. Don't hand-wave, be specific. Then ask, which parts of that story can I prevent now? If the answer is none, your risk is mispriced. Either find a safer line or accept that you're gambling and size the bet accordingly. Let's steal one more concept from engines. Principal variation, the main line you believe will happen. For any decision, write down the principal variation in one breath. If I choose A, next I'll do B and C. The world will likely respond with D, and then I'll do E. If you can't write a clean principal variation, you're not ready to commit. Reduce complexity or gather one chunk of data. If you can, move, and stop reanalyzing unless the world plays a move you didn't consider. Okay, turn back to that choice you thought of at the start. Define the board in one sentence. Name 3 candidates. Prune anything that violates your non-negotiable. Score the rest with 3-2-1. Run a blunder check, the world's best reply. Set a clock appropriate to the size of the choice. Move. Then close the analysis window and live the position. If you discover you're wrong, make the next good move from here. Don't fantasize about going back to the beginning. If you need a mantra to carry into the week, carry this. Strong moves come from strong positions. Your daily habits are the position you move from. Sleep, movement, decent food, focused work. These are not lifestyle fluff. They are your king's safety and your rooks on open files. When those are sound, even risky decisions are safer. When they're a mess, even simple choices blunder. And if you want a second mantra, take this one from the endgame table bases. Sometimes the win exists, but only if you play precisely now. That's why clocks matter. That's why pruning matters. That's why you decide. Not because every decision is a masterpiece, but because momentum compounds. A life is a long middle game with occasional end games that count. Being the kind of person who can choose cleanly under a clock makes everything else feel lighter. You don't need to love chess to use this. You don't need to memorize openings or quote grandmasters. You only need the rhythm, define the board, list candidates, prune, evaluate 3-2-1, blunder-check, commit under a clock. Do it enough times and your brain rewires, really rewires, to prefer clarity over chaos, action over rumination, process over drama. You will still make mistakes. You will make fewer tragic ones. You will feel less tired and more in control. So here's the quiet move to end on. Before you sleep tonight, write one line for tomorrow's board. A win tomorrow means X without breaking Y. When you wake, you'll know your position. You'll know your 3-2-1. You'll prune before breakfast. And when life throws a noisy cluster of options at you, you'll smile, hear the rhythm, and play your move. Decide well. Then go live the position you created,